I'm 15 years in this country. I can't call it my home. So my name is Anshul Garg. I live in Augsburg. I'm in Germany since 15 years. 2010, I came for my MBA studies. Uh, Currently, I'm working as a global portfolio manager at Rank. Uh, we make gearboxes for defense application, industrial applications. At the same time, I'm also a professional Gutachter. A Gutachter is a technical commercial property evaluator. And I run a company called Investry, providing end-to-end services in real estate investments, mainly for expats.
Then why you chose Germany?
For many Indians, the natural choice is to move to an English-speaking country. And I was a railway engineer, railway consultant back in India. And after 6 years in job, I wanted to clear up my mind a little bit, and I decided to do study MBA. At that time, of course, I looked into United States as well to go there, but I found at that time, back in 2010, German economy was booming. I researched a little bit and I found out German companies are much more practical, and university studies are much more practical, not theoretical like we have back in India. Uh, from price perspective also, Germany was affordable, so I decided to come to Germany. Um, but I also decided to come to a bigger city in Germany. I got admission in a couple of cities, couple of universities. On purpose, I chose Nuremberg because of a lot of industries around it. Uh, Back in my mind, I had the idea to that it should not be very difficult to find a job or internship, and somebody guided me that time and told me better to find local university which is around companies. So actually, that was a smart decision because during my MBA, I already had 3 internship offers, and all from good companies, big companies. So it was much easier to get into the corporate world here in Germany.
What were some cultural shocks you had when you arrived here?
There were many. The first one was when I landed at the Nuremberg train station at night around 8 p.m. It was completely empty train station at 8 o'clock at night. And compared to in Mumbai where I lived, even at 2 in the morning, you will have hundreds and thousands of people at a train station. An empty train station, I just could not imagine. Uh, so there were a couple of small things. Bringing your own food to a party, for example, was a cultural, I would not call it a shock, but yeah, something very striking. But yeah, some major things which bothered me also a little bit. For example, straightforwardness. When you talk, it's black and white. You say yes or no. There's nothing in between. This is not happening in our culture, at least in Asian culture. Or, for example, a very firm handshake. This is something which we don't do in India because a firm handshake means showing your power, showing your masculinity, and so on. A firm handshake or a loose handshake in Germany would be considered loss of confidence. So this is something which took some time to got over. Also, looking into eyes was something we were not very used to. Looking into eyes, especially of a woman, was something we were not used to. And these things actually matter a lot in your professional life as well. If you are not meeting your clients with a firm handshake, not looking into her eyes, it definitely impacts your life, professional life as well.
And what helped you to adapt better?
Going out uh, helped me to adopt. Going out, not in sense just doing parties, but going out in sense playing with locals, playing with German friends, with German colleagues or international friends, doing sports, go for swimming, go for barbecuing. So when you are out, you talk, you learn a lot with your friends, and that helped me a lot. And of course, from my companies where I worked, I got one or the other cultural trainings as well. I think we underestimate this. if somebody has the chance to get it done through your company, a cultural training, especially the new people who are coming to this country, ask for this opportunity or take this opportunity if it is offered. Get a cultural training done. It will speed up your learning curve a lot.
Can you tell me more details about your professional life, how it scaled to where you are now?
I started as a business consultant. So this company, after my MBA, this company wanted to enter Indian market, and they hired me as a consultant to do market study, market research on Indian market. After a few years, I transitioned into product manager role, product owner role. It was a global company called Esta. From there, after 6 years, I moved to Nuremberg at a company called Deal as a portfolio manager. So horizontally, laterally, my scope of my responsibility increased. In my first job, I was managing one product. At my next job, I was managing a portfolio of product. Then the scale of my responsibility also increased in terms of company size. So earlier in my jobs, I was managing projects of 5-10 million euros. Um, I also worked at Hilti, which was a big career jump for me because I suddenly was managing multi-million dollar projects, working quite international. So the scale in terms of the volume of projects and volume of the business that we were doing increased a lot. And currently, I'm again a portfolio manager. I manage products and services at Rank, mainly into digital products and services. Uh, yeah, so it has been a little bit horizontal in terms of responsibilities, in terms of growth also. But if I talk about vertical growth, this is something which is a little limited. Uh, I believe, especially as an expat, it is not that easy.
Can you talk about the glass ceiling in Germany?
In terms of salary,
Yes, and professional growth as well.
talking about growth, I've been talking a lot about this. Getting a job is not a problem in Germany. So you will get the starting role, perhaps. Uh, Everybody grows horizontally, laterally in the role as well, from product to portfolio manager. But vertical growth is something, it's not just me. I talk to a lot of my clients, a lot of other Indians, expats. Vertical growth is a challenge in Germany. You might, and there are always exceptions. There are people who have got that growth as well, but a large majority agrees to that. You might become a team leader. Uh, in some cases, maybe also a department leader, but that's it. You will not see a lot of expats being VPs, SVPs, or CEOs of a German company. So there is definitely limitations in terms of vertical growth. A starting salary in Germany would be something around 45 to 60K. A good salary in Germany would be, I would say, something around 85, 90K now. And an upper glass ceiling, what you asked is, I would say, if you are 120 plus, you're already in the top 1% earning people in Germany.
And why do you think it's difficult for expats to reach that high level in terms of professional growth?
I think it's very honestly hard to answer this question. I see some cultural aspects and language aspects here, challenges, mainly language. I can speak fluent German, and I can manage my meetings in German. I can write emails in German. That is not a problem anymore. But of course, it is not my native language. It still holds me back when I have to do a complete communication in German because my reaction response time is a little bit slow. I have to first think, maybe translate it to English, and then translate it to German. So that already puts one a little bit on the back foot. It slows you down. Once you become a team lead, you have to manage Betriebsrat. You have to do yearly evaluation of your employees, in many cases, even in German. A lot of things, especially from cultural perspective, you might not understand being in a leadership role in German. Uh, So language and cultural aspects stops you, and I have also seen resistance amongst German colleagues, not personally with me, but I have heard stories from friends, resistance from German colleagues if they have an expat team leader. So things are not that easy once you move vertically in your company.
Do you think German is necessary to come here, or you can come knowing only English and then learn it here?
For a starting, English is suffice. To get the first job, German perhaps is not mandatory, but definitely you will not move much in your career if you don't know the language, or your growth will remain flat. You might change companies, you will find jobs, but if you want a high paying job, you need to know the language.
What makes someone stand out in a job in Germany except the language skills?
It's definitely the personality and it's definitely the language. So language will take you further, definitely, no doubt about that. But at the end, it's also your personal skills, your soft skills, your technical skills. So it depends in what kind of role you are. So if somebody is a product owner on a software technology, then of course the person should understand deeply about the technology. But at the same time, this person also deals with business analysts, with business owners, with salespeople, and you need to deal and get through the challenging challenges of the job, day to day challenges of the job. So soft skill plays quite a big role as well, like anywhere in the world. But good soft skills together with German language definitely brings a lot of speed in your growth.
Besides the job, do you think investment is possible with, let's say, 3 to 5,000 euro per month for a beginner who just comes here?
I think investment should be done at independent of what level you are. It doesn't have to be that if I earn 3,000 euro, then I will start saving. You have to start saving money, whatever money you are earning. From that, at least 10% money should be saved. At some point in life, not just for an expat, but for anybody, we should let our money work for us and not that we are working all the time for a salary. Now, for that to happen, you need to start somewhere. The earlier, the better, and you need to start with a small, big amount, whatever you can afford. So I started saving nearly 100 euros a month from my first when I was in my first job. Uh, But yes, if somebody is earning 3 to 5,000 euros, of course, depends if this person has a family and he's a single earner, it might be a little bit difficult. But 3 to 5,000 euros, everybody I think can afford to buy real estate or make investments in other asset class like gold or stocks or whatever.
You talked about real estate, and you are also an investor in real estate. Tell us about your journey.
Back in 2013, I bought my first apartment, and the trigger for me to buy this apartment was it was back in Essen. I was paying 1,000 euros rent. We all know the salaries in Germany are not exuberant like in other places in the world, like in America or Dubai, that you earn millions of euros. A good salary is more or less standard for everybody here. So this 12,000 euro rent was a lot of money for me, and that was hurting me, paining me every day. So my trigger was to somehow manage to save this 12,000 euro of the rent that I'm paying, and I decided to buy my apartment for myself. I think within a year after getting the first job, I bought the apartment. Some people called me crazy without knowing the language, without knowing legalities, the process, and everything. Anything, I just bought the apartment. And of course, I did mistakes. So that was the starting point. And since then, now I'm invested in 5 cities in Germany. I have multiple apartments in double digits. I have over the years bought, sold a couple of apartments, and that also led from one thing to another. So I qualified as a Gutachter as well, and since 2.5 years, I'm running a company called Invest Tree, where we provide Gutachter services and some other real estate investment services. So it's been a long journey. It's a 12, 13-year journey, starting from buying a small apartment to building up a portfolio and now providing services in real estate.
Because you thought about mistakes. What mistakes you made, or what stories you have, which helped you learn something
Hmm.
about real estate?
I can give you some examples. So, how it typically happens for an expat when you buy a house, and if you are relatively newer in the country. I started looking for apartments, and uh, it was not easy for to get the appointments with the agent from the maklers. So we were usually getting the leftover in the market, whichever property was difficult for makler to sell. Of course, this makler would write to anybody who's interested in buying. So I was not being invited for the property which I wanted to buy. After I think couple of rejections, finally somebody called us and said, "Yeah, you can come and see the apartment." And we were so happy that somebody invited us to view the apartment and that this person speaks English. And trust me, without thinking much, I bought that apartment because I was just simply happy that this person is making my life easier because he speaks in English. We bought this apartment without balcony. But this mistake I realized when I wanted to sell this apartment. The large majority of buyers in Germany are, of course, Germans. Uh, and generally, culturally, people give a lot of importance to fresh air in this country. So, having an apartment or somebody buying an apartment without a balcony is not impossible, but it's very difficult. So, it takes much longer than the usual sales time that I need to sell this apartment. And of course, I am not able to sell it on the market price. So, I make loss on price, and then I invest too much time in selling it as well. So this was, for example, one of the mistakes. Second mistake, as a beginner in this real estate investment, you try, of course, to save money. Manpower here is quite expensive. I got some things done from not a very reputed company to save on money, and especially on water and electricity. And I did a bathroom done from a company, and within 9 months after getting this thing done, there was a water damage, and we have to redo the complete bathroom again. So it was, and I can tell you, we paid 4,000 something euros to get this bathroom done for the first time, and second time I paid another 6,000 euros to get it done. So that was also a learning when it comes to water and electricity in real estate. Get it done from a professional company. So these are few mistakes mm, which a lot of expats do. And also, I would like to mention we leave a lot of money on the table. And maybe this is also because of language skills. Expats generally do not bargain much. Uh, I have had done bargaining for a client of mine. We got the price reduced by 90,000 euros on an apartment in Munich just because there was not enough sunlight in the apartment. Now imagine in this country, people changes the country, they leave the country because there's not enough sunlight, weather is gloomy. Why would somebody buy an apartment which does not get sunlight here? And Makler was not very transparent in giving this information. First, when we did the Gutachter, we figured out this is not the right direction and there's not enough sunlight coming. Then we started the negotiation and reduced the price by 90,000. So if you know what are the gaps, what could be the problem, you can actually bargain hard. And this is where also a lot of expats leave money on the table.
And what kind of properties are the best to buy here?
It depends a little bit. What is the purpose of buying? If the purpose of buying is living for yourself, Then comes the question, what can you afford? So of course, if it is for yourself and you can afford, I would like to buy a house, maybe a Rhine house, not a single family house, because single family house has its own challenges. It needs a lot of maintenance. You need one, more or less every of your weekend will go into the maintenance and cleanliness of this house. So my personal preference is always a row house, a Rhine familien, a Rhine house. Uh, but if you are buying it for investment, uh, it is definitely an apartment, something between 50 and 70 square meter in size.
And which cities are the best?
In Germany, if somebody is buying for investment, I always recommend to buy in class A cities, which are uh, Munich, Frankfurt, Berlin, Hamburg, Düsseldorf. I classify them as class A cities, and then we have class B cities, which are like, for example, Mannheim, Nuremberg, uh, Hanover, and so on. Now, why focused on these two cities? One, they have large populations, so demand is higher. Two, most of these cities have good prospects of getting a job, so and also high paying jobs, so you get good tenants who can pay. Third, most of these cities have universities, so your target customer segment is not just limited to families or people who are on job, but also for students. So you are exposed to much bigger customer segment in these type A and type B cities, uh, bigger in terms of volume, but uh, you can do multiple things also with these, with your investment or real estate in these city. For example, if it is allowed, you can also do Airbnb, uh, which is more or less not possible in a village. It is possible, but then you don't have guests there. uh, than making it a VG. So an investment as a VG for students give you much higher return than normal renting. So if I'm really bullish on getting higher rents, I will perhaps rent it as a VG. So that's why I would say Class A and Class B cities opens the door to a lot of different opportunities, and the demand is high. The rents you get are also more decent or even higher than the normal rents.
Can we talk about the money, how much profit you can get from the real estate?
In real estate, you really don't make a profit unless you buy it from your completely from your pocket. Let's say generally 99.9% of the cases, a real estate deal is financed by the bank. So you buy something, let's say 100,000 euro, you would typically take credit from the bank. And generally, it can be longer, it can be shorter, but generally the duration is 10 years for this loan. And also, you can sell this property tax free after 10 years. If you are living inside it by yourself, you can even sell it after 3 years. But if you're renting it after 10 years, you can sell it tax free. Over last 12, 13 years that I'm into real estate, and if you look also on the historic data, on the statistically the numbers, on an average, what you get, the growth in Germany is around 7% to 10%, depending on cities, depending on what type of apartment it is, and so on. For the sake of simplicity, let's say 10%. So, and I can speak for my investments. What I have done, I have doubled my uh, investment. So if I bought something for 100,000, after 10 years, I have sold it for double, and in most of the cases, more than double. So let's say you buy something for 100,000, after 10 years, you sell it for 200,000, you earn 100,000 euro, which is tax free. If you break it down, let's say 10,000 euros is what you make annually in real estate. So it's not a black and white answer how much you earn with real estate. You have to look over a 10-year period time, or until you hold the investment, what is the cost of operations that you do in this investment. Maybe there is some renovation that that the apartment or the house needs, or some other investments in heating systems and all. So you look at what you the profit you make, what was the investments over 10 years, and then that is your profit. In summary, if somebody wants to get a feeling, you can double the money in 10 years. uh, Maybe less, maybe more, depends again on a lot of variables. I have done it for myself. I have doubled my money over 10 years.
And can you retire early with this money?
That's a very good question. And I would also like to mention here uh, how typically expats and Indians, especially, also behave in this sense. So, what happens generally is uh, 3 to 5 years, we are all figuring out and trying to settle in this country. Yeah. So, either you are studying, you are thinking, okay, once I have the job, then only I can buy, or the first 2 3 5 years you focus more on travel, and every weekend you are out traveling around Germany, in different European countries, and so the focus of the life is something else. And most of the times we end up thinking, I'm not sure if I would live in this country, and once I am sure, then maybe I will think of buying. And generally after around 6 7 years, people start, after all these confusions and first honeymoon years, they start thinking of buying. But imagine now, in today's world, on an average, somebody is paying 1500 euros rent, which is pretty common in type A, type B cities as well. uh, in a year we are easily talking about 18 19,000 euro rent, which you have paid out. In 5 years we are already talking about 90,000 euros that you have paid just as rent. So we have spent these 5 years thinking, shall I buy or shall I not buy? Will I stay here or will I not stay here? And I've paid 90,000 euros as rent. It's a lot of money. I would advise to start fast. If somebody is already starting in early 30s, you have the job, you spend 2 3 years, and then in your early 30s you start building up a portfolio of 2 3 5 properties. It takes 2 3 years again, and then you wait 10 years. By the time of 42 45, you will have enough money to retire. So I am 42, and I make decent money from the rental incomes that I have. A lot of apartments already got paid off during this time, so I don't have any loans on them, and rent purely is my income now. uh, I make enough money from the rent that I can even maybe today quit my job. And because I also sell now a lot of apartments, because they are over 10 years and I can sell them tax free, uh, I make enough money that I can go into retirement.
And why don't you quit your job?
I don't want to, but I have the luxury that I can if I want to. I would perhaps even still work another 5 7 years, but I still have the luxury that if I want to quit, or if there is uh, a problem in my life, whether it is a health problem or it is a family problem, my parents are old, I want to move back to India, uh, or whatever, I just want to move to a sunny place. If one day that thought and that uh, need in my life becomes bigger, I have no pain in quitting the job. So a lot of times it's a matter of choice, but to come to that point that you have this choice, you have to give 10 years minimum. You have to start early.
And what's your vision for the next 10 years?
Like I said, I am 42. By 50, my plan is to move to a country which has more sun. Uh, Maybe Mallorca, maybe Dubai. I want to spend more time back in India to meet my family, my parents, my friends. I don't want to be fixed to a corporate job. I want to be master of my time. And I think that is also something very common. As you grow in life, as you grow in life in terms of money as well, uh, time becomes more important. So I can feel it now as well. For me, it's not about money, it's about time.
So you think now you're financially free?
I am financially free.
And what advices would you give to someone who has a 9 to 5 job and wants to start investing and wants to become also financially free? What's the first steps?
Start investments early in life. 10% of the money that you earn should go into any kind of investment, whether it is gold, whether it is stock, or real estate. Real estate is even better. Uh, I have, sure, people have choices, people have their own reasons. I have my reasons. I think real estate is the best investment class one can invest into for a couple of reasons. Uh, you don't need money, too much money to invest in real estate. Uh, there's a high leverage factor in real estate. Uh, if you have 100 euros, you can buy gold worth only 100 euros, or same for stock. But in real estate, if you have 100 euros, you can buy an asset worth 1000 euro. So if you buy a small apartment, 100,000 euro in whatever city, you don't need full capital. You just need maybe 10,000 euro. Rest will be paid by the bank. It is one asset class, real estate, which starts generating returns theoretically, practically as well, the day you get the keys. So the day you get the key, you rent the apartment and it starts making money for you. There is no guarantee in gold if it will go up. There is no guarantee in stocks if they will go up. Of course, over 10 years, 15 years time, you will have some growth, but there's no guarantee if they start making money immediately for you. In real estate, the asset starts making money immediately. So there's leverage, uh, there is speed, there is, of course, on negative side, there are some operations that needs to be done. You need to maintain the asset, you need to invest some money, over the time. But overall, especially for people who have less money to invest, real estate could be a good start. Start early, I would recommend to these people. Start building a portfolio. uh, if you are in your 30s to 40, around this time in your life, you need to start investing heavily in yourself and also assets, which can create income when you cross 45 or 50.
But do you need a consultant for
Not
this?
really, not really. So I would say financial education is important, and sadly, we are not taught this education in schools. It is important for everybody to be educated, whether you do it by yourself. There are hundreds and thousands of videos, blogs, podcasts on YouTube or on internet. Uh, you can read it, you can see it, and be educated by yourself. But also, it's no rocket science, so you don't need a consultant. When it comes to real estate, you might uh, need it for the first, second property, but um, after second, third property, you easily know what you are buying and if it is a good investment or not. So it is not a must, but for first, second investment, maybe makes sense.
And for someone who has a good job in India and they think about coming to Germany, what you would tell them to come or not?
That's a good question, and a lot of people, actually, a lot of Indians are asking these questions on different social media platforms. So if it is a very rational decision, just comparing numbers, let's say somebody earning around 30 lakh rupees in India or 40 lakh rupees in India, uh, the max they might get here is around 100,000 euro, or maybe even 120,000 euro. But in India, you have a much better life, because that person earning 30, 40, 40 lakh rupees can afford a nice car, can afford a full time driver. He would have a lot of maids in the house. He might have also the comfort of living together with the family. They will have their own house, apartment, whatever. So, in terms of the ecosystem that they have, and the quality of life they have is much higher. Uh, but of course, here what you get is clean air, clean water. you get safety, you get job security as well. So on some aspects, I would rate India higher, but on some aspects, maybe it is not much money here, but the other aspects are higher here. So it depends a little bit on also what you are looking for in your life. I know somebody who was a SAP consultant with a package of 60 lakh rupees in India, but moved to Germany because he said, I don't see my daughter enough. When I leave in the morning, it's 7 o'clock. She's still in the bed. And when I come home, it's 10 p.m. And then she's again in the bed. So I don't see my daughter. I don't want this money. I want more family time. And that is the reason I came to Germany. In general, I have seen Indians who have left good jobs in India and moved here. Their struggles are much higher because they are not used to a life where they have to do everything on their own. They were leading a comfortable life. Now they have to get into struggles of learning the language, not being able to manage themselves. Uh, Also, because of language, many times they have to start saving money, which is also not enough. Then, so initial 2 3 years are very tough for such families who are living a comfortable life back in India. For somebody who is a student, uh, this is like living a dream. So when you come, you are young, and you come to this country, then it's like living a dream. So there is no black and white answer here. Again, depends in which stage of life you are. Uh, but somebody who is living comfortable life, be prepared to have some struggles in this country.
How do you see Germany? Do you see it as home or not?
I'm 15 years in this country. I can't call it my home. And this is a very honest answer. I am comfortable in a lot of aspects. I have a good job. I'm financially independent. This country gave me a lot. It showed me a lot. I earn money. I get a lot of comfort in this country. I get clean air. I get society, safety. So, no doubt, this country gave me a lot. But somehow I still don't call it my home. And I can't call it my home. There are reasons for it, but I think that also depends on person to person. Some people might have different reasons. I have my reasons. Uh, Language makes things definitely difficult in this country. Um, a task which is really a stupid task and might take you only 5 minutes to write an email, make a phone call, clarify something, will take me 1 hour to research on the topic, to think what will I say, how will I respond, understand the letter, and then make a reply. A 5 minute thing takes me an hour here. So it massively reduces my efficiencies. It is not a fun feeling after some time if you are not living to your 100% potential. So this is something that starts bothering you after a certain time that you spend in this country. First few years were honeymoon period. Everything was nice. Everything was new. We were learning. We were happy. But after some years, these things starts. They matter in your life. So language definitely makes things difficult here. Then this country is driven very much with processes as well. Everything is done with a process. For example, I was recently in a cafe and I asked the lady to warm the croissant in the bakery, and and her reaction was so strange, so rude, that it makes me nervous now when I next time go to a bakery and ask something out of the process. So in her process, customer comes in, tells you what he wants, pays the money, and done. Anything outside the process, now a customer comes in and says, please make it warm as well. She said to me, warm makhan. So it was so, I found it rude and impolite and really non-service culture. Uh, and that is generally not a problem, but the problem is when I next time go to a bakery and I want something different, I will not dare. I would say, okay, just take it and leave here. Even today, if I get a letter from some amt, from some government office, my blood pressure goes high. Uh, Again, I understand, I can manage myself in German, I know the language, but I still don't know enough to understand the legal language, to understand para 23 from BGB. What is this law? What is para 23? Why are they asking money? Why was I not informed before? And this makes me nervous. And of course, on apart from these things, uh, I miss my family, I miss my culture. So it's tough to call this place a home.
Can you give me a value from the German culture which helped you or changed you? And one from the Indian culture which also helped and supported you through life?
A lot of things. Uh, all those things that were a culture shock to me earlier, in the meanwhile, I have adopted. Uh, my friends back in India, my family, they can expect a clear yes and no from me. And when they hear that, they think I am rude. And I don't understand why they are turning round and round and not talking straight. Uh, when I do a firm handshake with my friends or with a woman in India, then it might be taken differently. I like to now plan everything. So if I go on a holiday, I know exactly uh, where am I staying, on what date, where do I have to pick the car, do I have the insurance for the car, do I have the car seat with me? I mean, were these are the things which we never thought when we went to holidays. Of course, you need a hotel booking everywhere, but we are doing much more planning now. And if again, I'm also Germanized in that sense, if something goes away from the plan, that it starts disturbing and bothering me as well. So then I realize, no, I'm an Indian. I'm used to this flexibility and multitasking, and I should not be bothered. But yes, I also do now sometimes get bothered if something is not according to the plan. So these things, I think, has improved me definitely as a person as well. At least they made me much more fitter for this culture, for my professional life here in this country. Maybe again, these qualities are not good back at home, but at least in this country, in this culture, they have helped me a lot.
How do you think Germany changed during these 15 years? Because I saw on some social media platforms, people are talking and saying that Germany will become the next Canada, or because we have so much immigration right now.
Yeah. There are different aspects. I think uh, Germany has changed in the last 15 years in terms of acceptance of foreigners. Uh, they know this problem that they need people. They have started openly talking about it. When I came, I used to stand outside of Indian shops, Indian restaurants, just to meet and see some Indian faces in 2010. 2016, when I changed my job and went to Nuremberg, uh, every day I used to meet a new Indian family. In 2019, when I again changed my job and was living in a small village, in that small village, you can find Indian people, Indian workers in every company, and especially IT people. You will find them more or less in every company these days. So, at least from that perspective, and not just Indians, other nationalities also, I think they have started coming to Germany, they see this as a land again, also for economic migration, which was not happening earlier. I actually see what happened to United States in early 80s, early 90s. There was a wave of immigrants, educated immigrants that went to United States. Exactly the same thing is now happening in Germany as well. Acceptance of English is still an issue, but it is much widely accepted now as well. In 2010, there was no chance to find a makler when I went to buy houses, apartments. Makler, I could not expect would speak English. Today, it's a different thing. You would easily find somebody who speaks English. So, but on the contrary, no doubt, the quality of migration has, I think, also gone down a little bit. Uh, it will not become Canada because, or at least in near future, I see, because they still have some quality controls and checks, and language is a big barrier. If language is not a barrier, then I see a huge wave of migrants coming to this country, which might not be economic migrants. So, a country which attracts a lot of economic migrants, highly educated migrants, generally takes a growth trajectory in terms of setting up new companies, in terms of innovation, and so on. That could be a challenge in Germany because Germany usually does not attract highly educated migrants. I still say to a lot of Indian students, they ask me, uh, give us some tips how to get the first job. And I just say, just learn the language. It doesn't matter if you are studying at TU München or Karlsruhe Institute of Technology, it hardly matters. If you don't know the language, you are not getting your, or at least it will be difficult to get the first job. On the contrary, it's different in America. So, of course, everybody speaks English there, but uh, if you are studying in a good university, in a good college, your chances of getting a high paid job are much higher. So, there are some challenges in this country. Uh, but I personally don't see it becoming Canada, at least in the next 10 years.